Welcome to the new series of Drishtya IAS. I am Pooja, and in this segment today, we are going to have a full-fledged analysis of the latest SIPRI report. Very importantly, you do not have to go anywhere else, not even to SIPRI's site, to look at the facts that we have given here, because we have originated our facts from SIPRI's own website and also Observer Research Foundation. So once you watch this segment for prelims factual information, you don't need anything else. And also from the perspective of mains examination, GS paper 2 and paper 3 analysis has been covered. Let's move on and talk about the first topic, that is what is the news. Now the news suggests that at 76.6 billion, India is third highest military spender in the world, which has been suggested by the SIPRI report itself. And India's increment of this in the defense expenditure is showing the increasing aggressiveness of our neighbors, because why other than any imminent threat, India will increase defense expenditure. Now let's move on and talk about the first thing, most important thing, that is SIPRI. SIPRI is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that is, of course, by the first name, you see it is headquartered at Stockholm. It was established in 1966. And what does it do? It provides data for the data and analysis through its different reports for the different policymakers, other industries which are related with respect to military. Everything is done by SIPRI. So SIPRI is an independent, very top-ranked think tank which has garnered a lot of respect with respect to its work. So moving on, if we talk about the important aspects, established in 1966, and the vision is a world in which sources of insecurity are identified. First, it will identify the insecurities, and also understood conflicts are prevented and peace is sustained. The statutes are the main guiding principle of SIPRI's work. It has a governor, it has a body with the body's governing body, not governor, governing body, which has director, deputy director, and other staff that require approximately 100 people in totality. Okay, and the funding is done by the grants that the Swedish government gives. Other than the Swedish government funds, they will also get their resources from other institutes as well. So by this only SIPRI will continue its work. The status, the global status with respect to defense expenditure or military expenditure, you see it has been increasing. In 1990, it topped. After that, it went from 1995 to approximately 2005. It was a period of stagnation, and even if there was an increase, it wasn't that significant. And now you see it has been increasing since 2010. It has reached it has surpassed globally more than 2 trillion in the year 2021. More than 2 trillion, that is a huge jump, you can say. So in terms of global position, you see the increased expenditure is 0.7% in real terms, and that is $213 billion. In trillions, it's 2.1 trillion. And the United States, remember this can come in your prelims, top spenders are United States, that is 38% of their spending on military. Then we have China, 14%. India, the United Kingdom, and Russia, these are the top 5 spenders. They comprise, in the totality of 100% of military expenditure around the globe, it's 62%. That's great. And the 7th consecutive year, the spending has raised. With respect to China, this is the 27th. This is very, very shocking. 27th consecutive year of spending on military expenditure. Russia is third year. That means since the last 3 years, there has been increase with respect to military spending. And there was a slowdown in the rate of real terms growth due to inflation, but in nominal terms, it's 6.1%. Okay. The world military expenditure as a share of the world gross domestic product fell by 0.1 percentage point. That means in 2023, it was 2.3%. Okay. In 2020, it was 2.3%. But now in 2021, it is 2.2%. Remember this. This is important for your prelims. Okay. Moving on, if we talk about other things, that is how much money has been spent by US, 38% total spending, that amounted to $801 billion in 2021, which still has a drop of 1.4% from 2020. Now, if we talk about research and development, US wants to keep a strategic edge with respect to technologies. That is why it has increased its expenditure. Russia increased its military expenditure by 2.9% in 2021 to $65.9 billion. And although after the sanctions, when in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, but still it could garner a lot of revenue from oil and gas revenue, and that is why it was able to increase its expenditure. Then China allocated an estimated $293 billion to its military in 2021, which is an increase of 4.7% with respect to the year 2020. China is the second largest spender, remember that. And the Japanese government added $7.0 billion to military spending. As a result, spending rose by 7.3% to $54.1 billion in 2021 because of the tensions with respect to Japan and Australia with China. This has been witnessed also because of the signing of AUKUS, which results into spending for nuclear powered submarines. This is also one of the reasons. Moving on, you see Australian military spending has also increased. Insecurities from China's aggression in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific region in 2021 by 4.0% to which reached $31.8 billion. Iran's military budget has also increased for the first time in 4 years. Remember this prelims fact. Then the 8 European, North Atlantic, 8 countries which belong to Europe and have a part in North Atlantic Treaty Organization members, they have reached the alliance's target of spending 2% or more of GDP. So NATO has this target, which has been achieved by the 8 European NATO alliances on their armed forces in 2021. Now, Ukraine's military budget has decreased. Remember that approximately $5.9 billion was spent. So, you see defense budget, defense expenditure is so important in knowing what the country is up to. Nigeria has increased its military spending because it is having a lot of extremism, having a lot of separatist tendencies. Nigeria has also done so. So you have to remember the important countries that it borders. Benin, Niger, then we have Cameroon, okay? And you see Lake Chad here between Nigeria and Chad, okay? Moving on, if we talk about Germany, which is the third largest spender in the Western and Central Europe region, you see that it has also spent $56.0 billion on its military in 2021. Not only that, Qatar has also increased its expenditure. Qatar, which is surrounded by many countries which are seeing civil war and not very stable. Even in Abu Dhabi, you saw drone attack happened. That is in UAE, Yemen, Oman. These regions are not very stable. So Qatar is the 5th largest spender in the Middle East region. Remember that, 5th largest. Okay. Moving on, if we talk about India's expenditure. India's expenditure has increased. India's military spending rose to $76.6 billion in 2021, which is a huge jump if we compare the spending from the year 2012. It is a jump of 33%, whopping. And from 2020, it is an increase of 0.9%. And then India's defense budget in the current year has also increased because first we have to modernize our army with respect to the challenges we are facing in terms of Ladakh standoff and also instability with respect to Afghanistan and Pakistan. We have to secure the Kashmir region. So a lot of spending has to be allocated for modernization and sustainability. So an increase for the defense budget was seen by 9.8% to INR 5.25 trillion, that is $70.6 billion US dollars. And you see that this chart is showing us the ministry, that is Ministry of Defense, of course, the components and what is the percentage of GDP. So you see, not only we have to make sure that the pension is paid to whoever army personnel had served us in the past, but also we have to keep in mind that modernization and indigenization of army is to take place. So a lot of research development structure has also to be kept in mind with respect to spending and spending. You see, prelims alert question is introduced over here. We have to consider the following statements with respect to latest SIPRI report on military spending. India's military spending grew by 33% between 2012 and 2021. The top 5 military spenders constitute 62% of expenditure in 2021. So we have to select the correct statements or statements. So continue answering correctly. I will take the names of those who have answered it correctly, the question. Okay. And moving on, if we talk about why there has been an increment. First of all, India is completely bonded with respect to increasing its modernization, you can say expenditure. Why? Because India has to face China. China is completely and thoroughly increasing its expenditure on military modernization and military equipment. As I told you, 27th consecutive year of increasing the expenditure according to SIPRI. Along with that, it is the second largest spender in terms of military. So Ladakh standoff, its aggression in the South China Sea, and now its nexus with Pakistan, the Iron Brothers, and nexus with Afghanistan, Pakistan and Afghanistan, the destabilized borders, the authoritarian and kind of usurping power governments that we are seeing currently. This is all making India insecure with respect to securing its own borders. So we have to build roads, we have to be careful with modernization of army, spending on research and development, engaging private sector. That is why India is spending a lot. So these are the reasons for increase. Another thing, what are the challenges? First of all, India, although it's modernizing, but it has a lack of, you see, DRDO has the only monopoly with respect to research and development. So India should engage more private sector and startups more and more, the more the better, with respect to research and development. If we have to become Atmanirbhar in defense sector, that was a clarion for India to become Atmanirbhar not only in other economic sectors, but in with respect to defense also. So the negative list that was seen, the positive indigenization list that we saw with respect to keeping an embargo on more than 100 plus equipments, we do not have to import such things. We have to procure them from the indigenized sources. For that, we need research and development. So these are the challenges that we have to face. Now, conclusion would be modernization needs research and development, engagement of private sector with respect to research and development, and also try to demonopolize, not completely, but at a staggered way, in a gradual way with respect to the research and development. Not it should not only be the say of the DRDO, and also it would do well to find a balance between the, this is a suggestion to the Ministry of Defense, to find a balance between the personnel costs, what are the costs for the personnel, pensions on one hand, and modernization and equipment maintenance on other hand. Okay, so this is the conclusion. Now, as we see the mains based question, you see this, that India is the world's third largest military spender. This is according to the latest SIPRI report. Discuss the growth drivers in detail. So you have to do this. Other than that, I will take the names of those who have answered the question correctly, right? So let's see who have answered it correctly. First of all, I see one person who is answering from a very long time. That is, I think, Puneet Sharma. Puneet has been answering the questions since a very long time. So Puneet has answered it correctly. Then we have Pallavi Jangir, who has answered it correctly. Mini Sharma has answered it correctly. It's a lot different, correct. Then Nihal Chakravarti has answered it correctly. And of course, yes, Shubham Dubey has answered it correctly. Dinesh Pradhan has answered it correctly. So keep it up and answer this question as well. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.